Welcome back to the Keto Bistro. Today we're going to look at making a Mexican black bean and chicken casserole. So these are black soybeans. They were a little expensive. I ordered them off of Amazon, but I went in with someone else that's doing the keto diet with me. So we split like a bulk size, so it came out to be not so bad. So a half a cup has a total of 8 carbohydrates, dietary fiber 7. So a half a cup only has 1 gram. The whole can is 3.5, so 3.5 grams of carbohydrates. I'm not going to use the whole can in the casseroles. Well, maybe. I'm going to make 2 small ones. Freeze one and cook one for supper and lunch tomorrow. So the first thing I'm going to do is get those going in a pan. And I'm just going to cook them like I would normal beans, usually in chicken broth. So I'll drain the juice that's in the can, rinse them off, put them in another pan with chicken broth and let them cook for a while. And then I'm actually going to put, make it kind of like a lasagna, where I'm going to use the Extreme Wellness tomato basil tortillas. I'm going to use 1.5 for the 2 small casseroles. So 1.5 would have 6. So you're looking at 3 carbs going into each small casserole. And each casserole usually gives me 2 to 3 servings. So I'm going to make these like I do crackers. Whoops. I didn't have my bag closed. So I just tore them up. You can cut them evenly. Put them on a baking sheet with parchment paper. I drizzled with avocado oil. And then I sprinkled a little bit of Parmesan cheese on them, not a lot. So I'm going to put them in the oven at 400 for 10 minutes. So I have the beans. I turned them up to medium high. They started boiling a little bit. They're already kind of soft. This is the first time I'm cooking with them. So I've turned them down onto low, medium, and all I'm going to do is just cook the chicken broth mostly out. And then to save time, I'm going to use the grilled and ready. It's frozen pulled chicken breast. So I'm just going to add it back to one of the casseroles frozen, the one that I'm going to put back in the freezer. And then I want to make sure that I'm adding the taco seasoning, and you can make it a little bit spicier by adding a little bit more chili. So I made my own seasoning. I do not use those taco seasoning in the packets or even in a cylinder container because they have quite a bit of carbohydrates. But I also like to use the Tony's Chachere's more spice seasoning. Is a little bit spicier. So these have no carbs. So if you don't have your own or haven't made your own taco or fajita seasoning, you can look on. I have a video that shows you how to make your own seasoning. So to the beans, I'm going to go ahead and add some seasoning. A lot of the chicken broth's already cooked out. So I'm going to add a tablespoon of the homemade taco seasoning. And then I am going to go ahead and add some of the more spice. About a teaspoon of that. And continue to let it cook until it's mostly dry. And if I have to, I'll drain some of the chicken broth out, but I don't think so. I think it's going to be fine. So the other thing I'm going to use that I'm going to go ahead and get ready is homemade salsa, and I just use whole peeled tomatoes, some onions, some peppers, jalapeno peppers specifically, to put in there. It's going to be kind of runny because of the juicy tomatoes. But what I do is I'll search for the whole tomatoes really that have the lowest carbs and look at the ingredients. So I really don't want any, sugar added. So it's mostly the pure tomatoes. So this one has, for half a cup, it's going to have 4 net carbs. And that's, I may use a cup and a half in both from the salsa. Probably just a cup. Okay, it's starting to smell a lot like chili in here, which gave me a great idea for this winter. So instead of just beanless chili, I can have some black bean chili. So I'm almost done. There's still a little bit of juice in there. I wanted to go ahead and pick out my cheese and spray my pans. So I've made my salsa. I just put it in a little chopper blender. I have a small little chopper from Amazon. So I am going to use cheddar cheese. You can use Mexican cheese blend, taco cheese blend. I've used that before. You just want to look for the ones that have less carbs, of course. And then the Olay Mexican Food Company, and that's where I have my tortillas from. And I just get these at Walmart or Kroger. They have some quesadilla cheese, so I'm going to throw some of that quesadilla cheese in. And sour cream. And those are all of our ingredients. So I'm not going to use all of the crackers I made from the tortillas. I just use 1.5 tortillas. But I am going to layer these, and I just pour them apart. So I'm just going to layer these on the bottom. And that'll kind of soak up any of the juices left over from the casserole. And then the tortillas that I have left over, I'm going to use for dipping. They'll be like my crackers that I use to scoop up the casserole or extra sour cream, lettuce. So I'm going to go ahead and start making my to freeze casserole. So I'm going to sprinkle some of the beans, depending on how much chicken you like. Go with it. So I'm going to put in probably a 1/2 pound of the shredded chicken. And then I am going to season it again. So with my homemade taco seasoning, I am just going to go ahead and sprinkle in a tablespoon of seasoning, probably just a 1/2 tablespoon of seasoning. So the beans were getting drier, so I went ahead and added the rest of the chicken to that. So I'm going to let this cook a little bit into the casserole I'm going to cook today. And to the other casserole, I've kind of finished it off, and I will show you that with the one I'm going to bake today, the other ingredients. I'm just going to top this off with some cheese, and I already put cheese in there. I actually put it on the wrong layer, so I'm just going to add a little bit more to the top and freeze it. So to the chicken and bean mixture, I'm going to add, and I just put this right on top of the chicken I put in the casserole. I'm going to add another teaspoon of the taco seasoning mix. Kind of stir that around. I'm going to get that mixed. Now you are going to bake it for about 35 minutes for the fresh one. The one from the freezer, when you take it out, you'll want to bake it for about 40-45 minutes. So let's start assembling our casserole or taco pie or whatever you want to call it. Okay, so I'm not going to use all of this. So I have a little bit left over. I'm going to mix with some cauliflower rice and save it as a Mexican rice. So I'm going to focus on my casserole right now. I'm going to add probably between a quarter cup and half a cup salsa. So you can use sour cream or crema mexicana. I'm going to use both. I'm just going to use up the rest of my crema mexicana. I don't have much, and they're the same thing, really. The crema mexicana just is a little bit creamier to me. So I'm going to use 3 tablespoons of the sour cream, crema mix. And then I did not use all of the jalapenos for the salsa. And I really do like mine a little bit spicier. So I'm going to add some canned, jarred jalapeno slices to this. This is optional. Add them, don't add them. Add more. It's up to you. And then the cheese of your choice. So I'm going to add a half a cup of cheese. And I'm mixing the variety. So I'm adding a little cheddar, and then I'm adding the quesadilla cheese. And I'm going to bake at 375 for 30 to 35 minutes. And then I'll see you when it's done. And here's the finished product. Yummy, delicious black bean taco casserole. So if you've enjoyed watching, please like and subscribe. Any comments, just add them to the bottom.